This is John here from 3D Create Tutorials. Welcome to my channel. So this will be the third part of this tutorial, and let's get going. And we're going to start from scratch. So let's go ahead to the P over here, bring down the arrow. We're going to go to import, which is right here, and we're going to start bringing all that stuff in. So we're going to go here, go to the folder wherever you put it. Okay, so I'm going to take this one and this one. We can select both at the same time and just import them. Now, you don't see them, right? But they are here. And sometimes they're too small to really see, but that's fine. Actually, I'm just going to finger. We're going to hit OK. So the finger's there, and we're going to go back and do the hand. You got to do one at a time. So import, append, hand. Bring that in. There we go. So now we got these. We can hit OK. And we can now zoom in on it with no problem. Before you cut, see how that looks really nice? The form's there. Now you can't do nothing with this object until you modify it. So keep in mind, this has to become a poly spline before you can modify. We can use this if we want to add lines and kind of just add lines to this and create another object, which is one option. But if you want to modify the hand itself, we're going to have to go in and kind of do the poly spline. So in here, we can select both if we want, I think. No, only one at a time. We can do the F key. And in here on search, we could type in poly spline. Now I already have it set up, but if you go poly spline, there's these three little dots here. If you click on this, you could assign a shortcut or you can add it to your favorites. I'm going to remove mine and just show you how to do this. Add to favorites. That's simple, right? So now that you've done this, we can go out and just go back. And now it's added to the bottom here, right? So if you click on it now, it will become a poly spline. I'm going to keep everything the way it is and hit OK. And one thing I want to do is show lines. This is what it's going to look like. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that, I'll take off this as well. If you take this off, you kind of can't see through it, but when you're selecting things, like, for instance, this stuff, a lot of times it goes through. It did go through, as you can see here, even though you take this off. That's one thing about poly splines. There's a little bit of work that still has to be done to it, but anyway, that's for another time. So we got this now. Okay, so let's go back to this object selection, which is this. Again, F key, poly spline. Same thing, I'm going to leave this the way it is and hit OK. Now, if we kept the objects prior with all that detail, this would have been even worse than this. I mean, this is a lot, right? But it would have been even double or triple this. So you can always go back and modify that finger and kind of reduce it down if you wanted to. I mean, it's up to you, of course. I'm okay with this because I'm going to use most of the smooth forms anyway. And it just, for me, it's fine. So I'm going to hide this for now. Hide. Okay, let's just quickly, and I'm going to move through this pretty quick now. Since I got my object, I can now go in and modify everything. I'm going to go in here and just kind of add, closures to this stuff so I can make it into an object. So I'm going to do, basically select the whole thing. I'm going to hit the Shift J, which is to patch. Now, if you don't want to hit that, you can just select the little three dots here and go to patch, Shift plus J, okay? So once you've done that, I'm going to do this throughout this process. I'm going to move this over and continue to do this. So one at a time. Alt, Shift J, hit OK. Again, I'm going to keep going, but not keep saying it over and over again. Give it a second sometimes. And then I'll get the hand. Hit OK. So now we have a solid. If we didn't do that, we would not have a solid. And when you have a solid, it's much easier to, I guess, cut details, add details, and things like that. So let's go ahead now and have some fun with this. So if you see this, you're going to have this form. Let's say we want to add a nice color to this. You can hit the M key. You can go to the assets or materials section here, and we can add like maybe a bronze. And then in here, I'll hit the M key. I'll change this to like a nice blue, something like that, light blue. Hit OK. Go back to M here. I would kind of maybe make this more of a plastic. This way I can see a little bit better. And take the roughness up a little bit, which makes it go down. So let's hit OK. All right, so we got our form. And it's easier to see this now. I'm not going to keep it in this mode though, because it's just hard to work with. So I'm going to go to the top view, and this is where I want to start. I want to create a nice little break away from the hand here, or the thumb, to give it its own like personality. Now, under the point mode, you see all this detail. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. I'm going to go ahead and hide this. It makes it kind of hard to understand what you're doing with this. And sometimes it's a little bit of a pain. But anyway, we're going to go in and kind of just start creating this form. I'm going to kind of go around. And if you want more control, you can always hit Tab key. So it's not like out there. Just move this up a little bit. I'm going to make this more like a nice rotated area here. So now, if I want to see what this is going to kind of look like, you go to top view and bottom view. It's going to cut along here and cut along there, and it'll separate these two forms, all right? Which I want to do. So my suggestion always before you do a major cut like this is you take this model, and we can do basically a Shift D, just like this. And now that we've done that, I'm going to make a copy of this by hitting Control G. And it's in its own group, and I'm going to call this Backup Forms. That way I don't ever worry about, not having to go back. All right, so that's done. And I still have my form. So in here, I'm going to hide that one. So I'm not messing with that and only messing with this one, okay? So simple as this. You got it selected. You can hit the C key here. And we're going to hit this, and we're going to hit OK. And what this has done now is it's separated this section from this section. Cool. Very simple, right? I'm doing this ahead of time because it's just easier if I do this now. If you're happy with this, delete it. If you're not happy, then modify it and go back. All right. So it's kind of hard to see without the lines here, but you've got this lines here now. If I select this, for instance, and I start pulling one of these, it will pull the whole thing. And I don't normally do a lot of fillets ahead of time, maybe later on, but for something like this, I will just keep, because it's a bigger area, I want to keep it into a fillet to make it nice and rounded, just like it is. Because it kind of breaks it away from the other object a little bit. And sometimes I won't even do this. I'll just put like a chamfer. Depends how small it is. Because again, we could always add in basically a bevel modifier in like Blender. So you don't have to do all that, and it will be less heavy. And see, like this, you can just do like a chamfer. But I'm going to still do another actual fillet because I just think it looks nicer. Now, to make sure that everything looks nice, take away the edges and see what we got. So this will give you kind of an understanding of the form. It's real simple, right? Cutting that out. Yeah, that looks great. It kind of have its own, function. And the thing with the hand is that you're going to have these bones in here. If you don't have like iClone's now actually free. You can download it for free. And you can add in skeletons to your object real easily, So that's another option. And then you would have like a bone here going out with the thumb. So I would most likely just cut this section out so you have a rotation in this area, or just keeping it part of the form just to move with it. But it might kind of, I guess connect with each other. If you're going to want this separate from the rest of the hand, then you can just cut this piece out and take this piece away. There's different ways to do, robotic hands. And I think in my tutorial in my class I'll be having, it will be more of this will be cut out, and they'll have an ability to kind of rotate inwards or outwards without affecting the hand. But anyway, for this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to kind of make the form look nice. So let's go and continue now. Okay, so we got this. We can now basically hide this piece if we want, and we can continue with the rest of it. So I'm going to create kind of a nice form on here just to kind of give it some character, and an easy way to do that, again, would be your lines. So now it's a little more difficult when it comes to polysplines to select things, because you should be able to select one area and it'll go all the way through, all the way around like you would when you build something, right? But it doesn't do that, so keep that in mind. I would first of all suggest that we kind of stay away from the edges, because it becomes kind of problematic if you got cuts in here. If that's what you want, you could do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go right to the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and select this here and try to keep as much as I can along that edge there. Zoom in a little bit on this side. I'm just going to try to keep moving on this. And I have to go back and do a control key to deselect things, right? And there's also issues with this. So we're going to move this over and this right here. These can go away. As you see now, I got more work to do on this side. Like I said, it does take a little bit of effort to kind of work around this. Now, I don't really like this, but that's okay, because I'm making a copy of this. So that's my first section, and I'm going to work with it. But I want to create all the other ones first as well. I mean, you can do one at a time and then reconnect it. That's another option. All right. So for this, I want this to be kind of, I'm going to go to the Z here. I want it to kind of spread out along the edge here and then reconnect to like something like the edge here. So let's go ahead and do this one too. I'm going to do the same thing as I just did with the shift key. So I keep my material. I'm just going to go across this thing like that. I'm going to right click and use the control key just to get rid of some of this stuff. It's, like I said, a little bit of effort, but it's not that difficult. Again, go here, here, just like that. And here, and see if what we got here, if it went all around. We got one more to do here. And yeah, that looks good. Okay. So we have this kind of, done. I think it could be kind of cool if I had a couple strands reconnect to here, reconnect to here. So we're going to do that real simply by going back. Again, I don't want this to go through. I'm just going to take it off and see if it works. But most likely, it probably won't. Anyway, I want this roundness here. So I'm going to take these two. As you see, it's starting to go through. Now, if you don't want to, go back and redo the bottom of the hand, you can just select each one on its own. And that's one easy way to control the selection mode. And what I mean by that is, so let's say we got this and we're kind of happy with that line. First of all, let's go and deselect these. So I'm going to go ahead, control, control, control. Okay. So let's just say I don't want to put anything on the bottom of the hand. I just want it at the top of the hand with the forms. It's just real easy if you go in and kind of like, so if I move this over here and you say I want to create a line, something like, I want this to kind of stay together. So if I go maybe here, that'd be kind of cool, maybe here. So I'm going to use the shift key and just click each one, right? Just real simple to kind of get this to go. There we go. All right, so now we look at the side. Now, yeah, that came out really nice. The question is, do we want more than that? Do we want a third to kind of match this a little bit more? Maybe so. Maybe I'll do one more. So again, it's real simple. Select these things, right? And you kind of don't have to go backwards, right? So there we go. So we got this now. Now that we've gotten this, I'm making a copy of this. So Shift D. So this way I have a brand new form. And yeah, that's easy, easy, easy. So, all right. So now we got the face. It's not a solid like this one is, because we created it and it's a form or a copy of the faces. So we're going to set, okay, we're going to now hide this object, this one here, hide. Okay, so we got our form. So a lot of things I like to do is just make this a lot better by just, fixing some things. And let's go through that process now. All right, so we're going to start with this thing. This is kind of chaotic and doesn't look very nice. It's the form, of course, but I don't like the way it sticks way out, and it just doesn't make sense to me to keep this. So what I recommend is using the poly spline or the bridge curve to support this effort. And this is a real easy way to work this stuff. Now, you notice that this is going way up and this is going way down. And it's coming to a head here. That's kind of basically what it's doing. And I want it to be more of a smooth transition. So what do we do here? We can select these different sections and go back a little bit. It's not that big a deal to kind of just go in and just take away some things, right? So I'm going to hit the Shift X to delete that. And we've got these two forms now. However, it's not connected no more, right? And it's not going to work. But what we can do here, again, F key, we're going to use the bridge curve. If you don't have it, again, search bridge curve. So right in here, bridge, and you got the curve here. So again, select the three dots. You can add them to favorites. You can do whatever. There's also documentation in here to read about it. But I already got it on here, so I'm good with this. So I'm just going to select it, right? So you got some busyness, which is fine. It's a little bit complicated. Hopefully they work this stuff out later on where you don't have to see all the extra points here. And I think this is on purpose to kind of help you select the points and move them around, which is another option. But we're going to go ahead now, select kind of like right past the middle. See what that middle hits right there? I'm going to go a little bit past it just to get the point. And the same thing over here, a little bit past and just select it, right? So see how that's nice and smooth now? It's not this hard, steep section. It's smooth. That's what we want. And the thing is, you got to make sure that you bring these closer together. So it's either going to be 0 or 1 always on the top here. And you want to get it to close to this. So whatever makes it to that edge exactly is what you want. You also don't have to go G2. You can go G1 if you want less of a curve. So let's go ahead and just move these in place first. And we can see what that curve looks like, right? So that curve is nice. I like the form. If I go with G1 just to see what that looks like, you can do this and just kind of get an idea. And this is less steep and it goes smaller. It just depends. You can go higher at the end or both high. And I kind of like this. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but maybe I'll do G1. I think G1 maybe. It kind of keeps the tightness a little bit, so I'm going to go with that. So hit OK, right? So I got my first line, and it's following the curve exactly the way you want it. So let's do the other one at the same time, save some time. F key, bridge line curve, get closer, get somewhere over there. You can get over here, something like that. And it's going to keep the same thing that we did before, just because it just does that. Again, bring it all the way down. This one will be 1, and this one will be 1 as well. So again, whatever makes it go to the edge, hit OK. So we got our lines. Yeah, that looks way better. I can see it already. It just looks smooth. So what can we do with this? We can reattach everything here just by simply taking these two lines and extruding them. If you try to take these and combine them all together and make them in surface, it's not going to look as nice as if you actually extrude them. So always recommend a bridge curve line. You extrude it out. It just works a lot better. So we're going to the actual, let me see what would be the best position here. I want to get it right like this. So whatever form would be here would be something like this, or opposite is fine. So here I'm going to extrude it upward. So I'm going to E key this, hit the F key and select the point and just basically go straight up. Now some areas might not be as easy as this and you got to kind of just form to a side or whatever. But for this one, it works out this way. Okay, So we got our lines. Let's take these two now. We can either hide them or delete them, whatever you want to do. I'm deleting mine because I know that I'm not going to go back on this. Now we're going to select each of these sections here. You can either do a loft, like from here to here. So it's one option with L key, loft it, and then select these two lines. So let's see how that looks. I'm going to show you both options. So loft, we could hit the shift key and just select here and select here. Now, it didn't go the way it's supposed to, so let's try this again. I got the wrong one selected, that's why. So make sure you get the right one selected. Again, L key, shift, select it, and select it. Now, you're going to notice that this is not going to work because this is like a flat edge. So we need to put that Z0, G0, and now we have it, right? And that's the easiest way to kind of get this to form. And then once you do that, you delete these two sections. So let me show you the other way. So I can also do this and select all four and basically shift J to close it. And we can select G1. It's the same process, really. It just, either way works, all right, for this type of thing. All right, so we got our form. So now, one nice thing is we don't have all these lines. We can also go in and, merge these if we wanted to. So let's say we want to, I'll show you some examples of that in a minute. Shift X, delete those two. Yeah, and there we go. We got a very smooth form. And the purpose of that is to make it, when you cut into it, it's just going to be so much cleaner. All right, so there's that. And we still got to work these edges here. I don't like these edges. These are too sharp, and it's just not going to work very well. So we could either reconnect them and make them a really smooth transition if you wanted to. I mean, you take out again. We could take and make another bridge curve wherever we wanted and then reconnect it all. That's one option. Or we could just extrude everything and then take the center here and kind of, modify it. But I'm going to show you I've already done this process. We're going to go ahead and just do a shift key on this in a second here, or thicken, and we'll make it a little thicker. So 1 second here, we'll get back to it. Okay, to make this tutorial simpler, because I don't want to take a lot of time on this tutorial,